I'm on God time, what you want, huh? I'm on God time, what you want, huh? I'm on God time, what you want, huh? What you want, huh? I'm on God time, what you want, huh? What you want, huh? I'm on God time, what you want, huh? God time, we don't never waste. We don't.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rock Top Sports Talk. This is your boy Coach Rice. I know it's been a minute. I know I said we're gonna be able to go live every Wednesday night. Guys, it's just is what it is, man. I know things in life happens, keep you from doing stuff that you want to get to, and other things happen. So but the spring ball has came and gone. Came and gone. So we're gonna have some fun here tonight. We're gonna talk about spring ball, do all the things, try to catch up on what's happened via the roster, what's happened from every position group, every position battle. With what's up, Noah? I see you in the chat. That's one of my students. But yeah, we're gonna have Big Mike on the show tonight. Joey may come in. He's got something going on, but he said he may slide in. But we're gonna have a good show. Hopefully, we have a lot of people in the chat. If not, it's fine. It's understand. We haven't been able to go live a lot, so um, let me kind of talk to y'all about the orange and white game. My thoughts, real quick, just before I get Big Mike and Tom on. My quick thoughts about the orange and white game, what it means to Tennessee football. It um, is far away from what we know of the old orange and white game. This orange and white game is just practically it's a practice. I mean, back in the day, going to orange and white games and seeing them on TV is way far away from what we know that we used to watch. It's just not the same. I mean, I'm not saying they're not being competitive out there. Obviously, they are. They're trying to get better each and every rep on the practice field, or actually in Neyland, but it's just basically a practice. They don't run a full 11-on-11 scrimmage anymore for the whole time. They run drills. They do 7-on-7s. They do other things, kicking competitions, which I know they did some of that over the last 10 years or so, but gone are the days where you have 11 on 11. You have feels like close to a football game as possible. And you can take some things away from it, but then there's also things where you just can't put too much into it. I've seen several people in the chat say, I mean, on Twitter and on Facebook and on the Vol websites, that it's just it just seemed like another day run through the motions type thing. So I think there's a lot that from individuals that you could take from the orange and white game, but I don't think as far as team readiness, obviously I think the team's going to be completely different come first game of the 2026 football season. So we'll see where we go. Obviously, I know there's going to be a lot of growing this summer. Coaches can do a lot more stuff this summer than they used to. Used to it was spring ball and then fall camp. That's all coaching outside of strength and conditioning. Coaches are more able to be integrated in the summer workouts, be able to do some mental installs and stuff like that, to where you feel much better going into fall camp as far as installs and knowledge and all that for the football team. There's a lot this team has to do, obviously, to get better, but at the same time, you got to take it with a little grain of salt, because from what I've heard, it just wasn't very impressive. But at the same time, um, I just don't think that was what you're fully going to get come first game in September. So, with that being said, let me bring on Tom and Big Mike, and let's get this show on the road. What's up, guys? Y'all doing good?
Yes, sir.
All right, nice. I know Tom and Big Mike, we've been wanting to go live. I know we've had I was planning on go live a couple weeks ago, and I had something come up, and then we're gonna go live another night. And then none of y'all three could go live, so it's just it's so much easier on fall Saturdays because we know what our plans are. It revolves around Tennessee football, so it's so much easier to get those fall Saturdays and be able to get a live stream and get everybody together, and we're amped and ready to go. During the spring, there's just so much going on. I got baseball, and then y'all got Tom's. You got twins on the way. Big Mike started a new job.
Yeah,
Joey's got preaching going on and school as well. So there's a little bit of everything going on, but spring ball has came, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get much. Everything I get from it, I get from Austin Price of Allquest. What their little 2-minute drills, whatever interviews Coach Heupel does, and the players. That's pretty much all we get. I mean, there's a few other people that put stuff out that are actually there and not, people that think they're actually there and not there, and they just make stuff up on the go. But, it is what it is. That's Coach Heupel's policy that the media just is not there. It's only staff, analysts, support people that could be there outside of the players, obviously, and the coaches. So, what y'all's thoughts? I mean, just broad general thoughts of spring practice. Big Mike, I'll let you go first. And then another thing real quick before you go, Big Mike, we're going to have a full-on thing about where college football stands right now later on in the show. There's just a lot that's changed. There's things, obviously, Joey Aguilar didn't get his court thing done. So, you got NCAA doing more things, and then President Trump signing this executive order where you have some things happening there, and then you have other complications with the college sports media world as well. And so we'll get to that later in the show. But Big Mike, tell me your thoughts on spring ball.
So I have to admit, I didn't listen to any of it yesterday. I was on the lake all day yesterday fishing. So I've had to rely on highlights. I've read a lot of stuff. I was actually reading some Rocky Top Insider before we got on. I believe that's is that Ryan Sylvia, Coach?
Yeah, he's on there. There's another guy I can't remember his Ben McKee.
Couple of things real quick. I'll try not to take too much time, but he listed 3 freshmen that he believed benefited themselves in the orange and white game. That was linebacker Braden Rouse, Gabriel Osenda, and defensive lineman Carter Gooden. Said that Gooden was in the backfield a lot, making a lot of plays. Said Rouse was all over the field. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about Braden Rouse, man. Like I keep seeing stuff about him. And they're saying, he's saying that, he's possibly pushing for playing time as a freshman, as a true freshman. I think sky's the limit for this guy, man. He's super impressive. And also he listed 3 transfers who helped themselves in the orange and white game. It was the running back from Tulane. Help me out. Is it Javen
Gordon? Yeah,
Javen
he was really impressive.
Javen Gordon, Cooper Ranvier, and the other name's escaping me. I'm sorry. I just read it right before we come on.
What I will say, though, I agree with you in what that post said. I think I saw that same one Cooper Revere was automatic yesterday. From everything I heard, everything I saw, he was automatic. And then Javen Gordon from he had that 61-yard where he broke through a massive hole. That's something we're going to get to. And I know Tom's going to talk about it too, because that offensive line formed a hole the size of the Red Sea. So he came through the hole, then broke off a tackle, and then took it 61 yards to the house. So I think it's been with those two guys, especially were two of the key names that made a name for themselves. You can keep going, Big Mike.
And what I've also been reading some stuff, like I believe it was Anthony Poindexter has said something about the defense being a lot more like faster, more athletic, like getting after it. Like I'm reading, that it's like night and day between, last year and this year. So, I mean, I know it's spring ball and practice, but I've heard, the attitude and just the whole approach is like totally different this year.
Yeah. I will. Well, I think between the strength and conditioning and then the other coaches that they've brought on staff, I think Coach Heupel knows the defensive transition and the strength and conditioning transition has been about as good as you could possibly get, especially the defensive transition. And then there was word around town that the team looks faster, I know Jeremiah Thielander, who's always been stocky, but he looks faster on the field. There's other guys that were, quoted names that look really fast, considering where they were recently. So, yeah, I think those two transitions are speak for themselves. Now, obviously, the big thing we're going to talk about is the quarterback comp. We'll talk about that a good bit in this stream, but anything else you want to add to that, Big Mike?
Funny you bring that up. You know where I'm going.
Go ahead, buddy.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. I wish Joey was on here right now. I'm fixing to drop a prediction.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Do it.
Faison Brandon will be the starter game 1.
Ooh.
I love it. I love it.
Throwing some heat.
And just real quick, I'm of course, it's just reading stuff. The guy that I was reading, I can't remember his name, was talking about how, he don't know if GMAC has regressed a little bit or if it's, Brandon just picking things up like so fast. They were saying that they thought that at this point right now that that GMAC would be like really far ahead of Brandon, but what I'm reading right now, they're saying it's a dead heat. Like they're saying that like Faison has a legit chance to win this job, like out of the gate.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, I think Austin Price had said something about that. Second scrimmage. He said it was dead even. The first scrimmage, both of them kind of struggled, but both of them made some plays. But Brad Faison really stood out in that second scrimmage, specifically his legs, making plays on the move. And then, there were several other commentators outside or reporters outside of just Austin Price that were reporting the same thing. So, I think I agree with you. I think it's dead even. And if that's the case, if it's dead even right now, if it's dead even, or Faison is, yeah. I mean, you gotta give it to Faison. I mean, I think he's got the higher upside. I think at the end of the day, he's younger, so you get more time with him. And I think he's just got more, that he could provide for you via his legs. Now, I'm not saying GMAC's no sloth or nothing. He's obviously he can move pretty well in the pocket, but I just think higher upside. And we'll dive into it a little bit more from what we saw, but and then some of the things, some of the highlights that you can talk about, but I just think at the end of the day, if they're even, Faison's leaving. I mean, Faison, that's what the old saying is. But
Yeah, don't
you
say
know,
that.
Faison, not leaving the school, but he's leaving the comp, putting GMAC behind him, and taking the show. But we'll dive into that a little bit more later. Rocky Top Time, give us your thoughts on spring practice.
Mm.
Hey, y'all need to go. Hold on, all my students, y'all need to go to bed. Y'all need to time out. You need to study and then do your homework and go to bed. That's what you need to do. So stop blowing up the chat. All right, go ahead.
So
Tom.
I want them to go full tilt for the spring. I want them to be balls to the walls. I want them to do more than they do. But hey, I want people to show up to practice, but apparently that's not going to happen either. Just saying. I want people to show up to practice.
Yeah.
We all know what's going on there, but I'm not going to get too off the rails till later on. No, I'm excited, man. I'm excited because who was it you said? I just had it at the tip of my tongue. He broke that tackle yesterday. Going right up the middle like a hoss, man. I mean, just said, get the hell off of me. I'm going. That was a nice little thing to see. Now, defensively, I want to see a tackle there, but that was a hell of a hole. That was a hell of a run. It's exciting to watch, man. It's been a little over 4 months since we had any Tennessee football. So
it's been long overdue, man. I mean, and that's one thing. The reason why it's been one reason why I love watching basketball. It's one reason why I love watching baseball when I can, because it helps kind of get you past all the non-football time of Tennessee football. But at the same time, these kids are cracking me up.
He said they're not to send money. All right, you want my bank account number?
Yeah. The main reason why the reason why people love the spring football game and how close it was to actual real football, and that's the reason why I think the orange and white games are now slept on now. And I couldn't have watched it anyways. I had a JV tournament Saturday we're in Dyersburg, so we were at that all day Saturday. But it's just not as football. It's not as much football. It's more just going through the motions of a practice pretty much more than anything. And forever that spring game, that was the medicine for Tennessee Vol football fans to get through, get you into the fall, get you past until the fall. But can you continue going, Tom?
Yeah, it was that hit that you needed until the 4 months away mark. Because 4/12. Yeah, we're a month away from the season right now. We're pretty much. The early games, we don't start till the first week of September, I think, is when we play Furman, right? It's like the 7th, something like that. But that I needed that just to watch it. And I watched the highlights 3 or 4 times just to watch it because it was fun. It's something that you remember differently from a few years ago. That's for daggone sure. It was way different, but that's the way things are heading now. I'll take a little bit of an orange shot, about 4 months out, 5 months out. Yeah. No, I want to know what in the hell is going on with Chaz Coleman. Look, I'm just going to go out. I was dancing around the inner tube here a second ago, but I really want to know why in the hell this guy's making, what is it, $3 million? He's making
3.5.
Yeah, $3.5 million. Let's round up and call it 4. That's ridiculous. You got to come to practice every day, even if you're not making money. And you ought not to be making money in the first place, but I digress. That's I don't know where you want to go because I could go in 4 different directions here. I'm not good on I'm not good on picking up the hints, man. You can ask my fiance. She sat right next to me at the bar when we first met. It took me 2 minutes to realize she's interested. So,
Well, hey, the biggest thing I want to transfer to is what the coaching staff looks like, what we're getting ready for this summer, and then what we expect this fall. Because this whole spring we've talked about competitions. We talked about the quarterback competition. We talked about the secondary, whether it be the other corner outside of Ty Redmond. We talked about the depth at linebacker. Talked about offensive line. Who's going to be that right tackle? What's the combination going to be like at right guard and right tackle? There's so many things that obviously there were questions about. And of course, the biggest one outside the QB competition, I was like, how's this defense going to gel? It's new staff, lots of new players, young, old. There's several moving parts. But from what we've heard all spring, the defense has been solid. Like, it's been very consistent. There hasn't been bust. You heard that from GMAC and Faison, that there were not many busts on the defensive side of the ball. They were making plays. You had guys like Idris Farouk making big-time plays in both scrimmages. You had DeJuan Lane or Dejon. I keep calling him DeJuan Lane. I've heard Dejon Lane. I've heard Dejon Lane. I've heard different things, but he was making plays. Xavier Gillum, the defensive tackle that transferred from Penn State, was making plays, was a pest up front. And then Amari Campbell being that leader in the middle with Arion Carter out because he was getting his shoulder repaired. That's massive because that guy's a guy that's came over from Penn State. He knows the defense. He's the captain in the middle of the defense. He made that transition easier for Coach Knowles and the rest of this coaching staff. So build on that, I guess, Tom. How big was it, do you think, getting those transfers from Penn State, getting those coaches that have coached under Jim Knowles? How big was it for transition?
Well, for the most part, it's tremendous. It's tremendous, but the mule of that group apparently is not really pulling his weight, and nobody. I love some of the people that do Tennessee highlight off-season stuff. The VolQuest guys, I love all of them, but they need to come out and say it. And Brent Hubbs probably said it the best. He needs to show up to practice. And we're talking about Chaz Coleman. But it is huge to have the rest of them to come over. And you know what? To be honest, any improvement, what Big Mike was saying earlier, that Coach Heupel's, happy that a couple things are going a certain way, and that some of the press said, oh, well, they look better. They're more agile. They're more side to side quick. That's good. Being all over the field, that's good. Any improvement in physicality, that's good, because damn, they needed it from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I want a true competition all over the place, because there's, other than maybe the receiver room, the linebacker room, you could take the whole linebacker second string and put them on a starting rotation anywhere else. I mean, you really could. That's
really
wild.
3 deep.
Yeah,
it's 3 deep.
Wild.
I mean,
and
all
one of the
heard all
coolest
spring is TJ White and Brady Rouse has been showing out.
Yeah, which is great. And which one of them's only like 6'1", 200 pounds? That's wild.
That's TJ.
Dude, if he's only 6'1", 200, but he's still an elite linebacker like that, the dude's got to be a freak.
Brady Rouse is like 6'3", 225.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to see. I want to see more this year. We're in year 6, man. Y'all, we've been talking about this since 22, when, hey, we came out of nowhere, got a little bit too frisky too quickly. Hey, I was all for it. But when you get us up to the mountaintop, man, you gotta you got to do something other than mismanage the clock and mismanage. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
By my count, 7 games since then. So I mean,
Yeah.
2026 has got to be it. We got to be pumping on all cylinders. I know in the era that you're in, you got to recruit the whole team. You touched on something a minute ago. Actually, now that my brain just made this connection here, random. What is up with Arian Carter? What in the hell is going on with Arian Carter? What kind of surgery did he have? Because I knew he wasn't playing, but was it like a minor thing or is it a huge deal?
No, it's a minor thing. It's just a cleanup procedure. I mean, no, he's fine. He'll be good to go come this fall. It's just or actually this summer. It's just something that they need to get cleaned up, you know, that he kind of hurt during the season that had him in and out. You know,
because you remember he had double turf toe and he probably had a pulled hamstring. I mean,
yeah, it's just, you know, several of the guys that were out, you know, they managed Deshaun Bishop, which gave extra run to Dewanne Morris and Javid Gordon. And then you had other guys that were, you know, they were kind of putting on limits to where, you know, give the other guys some depth run and some reps to better them for depth and see what they could do when they get put out there. So, anything else you want to add? Just, you know, broad thoughts about the spring camp?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that other than that one long run off a broken tackle, but I can't even say that without reiterating. I want to see the full spring game. I want to see we're going to play 4 quarters of actual football.
Yeah.
I want to see balls on the field. You know, I want to see a team and a coach that's got balls and says, well, you know what? We're young, but guess what? Everybody's young somewhere at one position group or another. It's the era that you're in. Just do it, man. I mean, it was kind of like what you and I used to talk about with 2021. 2021, Josh Heupel was like, you know what?
Oh, he's playing balls.
We got a long snapper playing linebacker. We got a janitor playing safety. You know, I mean, let's just do what we can do and throw the daggone ball down the field. Let's go balls to the wall. What happened to that?
Yeah.
What happened to that? I want that kind, because that kind of competition will push the best all the way to the top. And you know what? You're going to have injuries. You're going to have injuries. But when you do that, guess what? You just push the guy that was underneath the guy who is behind the starting guy to the next level, because you're doing this every day in practice. You're getting 1% better, 2% better with every single player on the field, because they're getting actual, honest to God, big boy SEC reps.
I'm right there with you. And I'm full on for what, and I don't like a lot of things he says, but Urban Meyer has put forth the thing that you should play. He thinks a spring game, go schedule a B10 or an ACC team for your spring game, run just like a exhibition, play first half, balls to the wall, you know, you're playing, and then second half, you can, you know, rotate guys in and out, no matter the outcome of the score. But I think that's a perfect idea. You talking about TV, money, all that. That's a way to make money come spring ball. Or another thing I've seen, use the teams that are eligible to make bowl game. Do that. You can reward them via that. I mean, there's so many things you could do to help these schools, you know, get better than what we know as the spring, which it has helped that the spring portal window is gone. Thank goodness that has helped some.
That's one step in the right direction.
Yeah, one step in the right direction. I think still kind of moving the calendar to where it fits the school calendar would help. But I think that way you ain't got coaches leaving mid-year and all that nonsense crap that we have this year. Hashtag Lane Kiffin. But, you know, there's so many things that still need to be improved. But that's another thing. I think that teams should schedule other teams Power 4, Power 5 teams as their spring game. I just think it's a great opportunity to see where you are roster wise and know what you got to work on this summer. This crap they did the other day tells you nothing. Tells you nothing. It's literally just another practice. It does. That's the reason why a lot of teams, first game of the year, they may go on to win the national championship, but they look like absolute dog crap first game of the year. I mean, or first few games of the year, because they've been playing each other week in and week out in practice. They're not. No one's going to go 100% in practice because they're scared of hurting their teammates. It is what it is. That's a great example. Georgia's won like 3 out of 5 national, or 2 out of 4 national championships. They look like dog crap at the beginning of the year. Some of these years, but they would get better. But at the same time, there's the difference between playing your own guys and playing someone else, and how hard you go at it in practice. It's a different mentality. I know back in the day, people practiced harder than what they do now. There was 2 a day. You can't do 2 a days anymore. Like, it's just, there's so many things now that are different.
You can do 2 a days. They just refuse to do it.
No, you can. It's just you're limited to so many hours of contact. It's not real 2 a days. Back when we used to watch Hoover 2 a days on MTV, those were 2 a days. But it's just not the same anymore. So give me your thoughts. I know we kind of chased rabbits there for a little bit. But as far as transition, Big Mike, I know Tom's already answered a little bit. Obviously Chaz Coleman, we know that's not panned out so far. I'm hoping he sticks around. I know I saw a report that he wasn't even at the orange and white game the other day, but there's, if the Vertigo story and report is true, I get it, because that crap sucks. But if it's not true and he's just being a little pansy because he's homesick, you got to buck up or move on, because it's not going to turn out good for anybody. So transition wise, Big Mike, what's your thoughts?
Man, I like it. The players we got from Penn State, already being in that system under Knowles, I believe has helped players that we already had on our roster help pick the system up. And I've been reading that they're picking up the system a lot faster than what they may have expected them to. Learning it quicker, and I believe having the coaches and having the players like Campbell and Gilliam and all them that's already been in the system, that might be able to help the players that we already have, learn the system as well.
It's definitely helped. I mean, just long-term processing. I mean, it's you worry so much from what you know about Jim Knowles, is that time period is what they've said was the bad thing about Jim Knowles. It took a year. You had to give him a year, asterisk to say, hey, give him a year to get his system in, get it installed, and all that. Well, up to this point, he had never taken a coach with him from his previous school. And now you got transfers coming with him. We had 4 transfers come from Penn State that's helped ease the transition. You have all these analysts, you have coaches, you have a lot more analysts than you used to on staff. There's no reason to take a long transition period especially when you have that type of movement come to your school from where the defense coordinator was previously at. So I'm expecting. I'm still on the edge because I think we lack depth at defensive tackle. I mean, there's and depth at cornerback. I mean, I know there was rumors that Trey Petit and Timothy Merritt and a couple of the other guys. You got Jadius Richard that was, maybe doing some things that were helping ease the cause of depth or concern of depth at cornerback. But, David Hobbs is injury prone. Nathan Robinson is injury prone. You don't know exactly what you're going to get in the SEC with Xavier Gillum. You got other guys, young guys like Isaiah Campbell and Ethan Utley that you don't know if they fit good for a 4-3 system, 4-2-5 system of like Jim knows. Now, obviously, we played a 4-2-5 before, but Tim Banks like quicker, smaller, feistier defensive tackles, whereas Jim Knowles likes bigger, stronger, still fast defensive tackles, but it's a little more different strategy as how they use their defensive tackles. So transitioning from where we talked about transitioning, what's your biggest concern coming out of spring camp? I know there's several. I know Big Tom. I know I got you, Big Dog, but I'm gonna let Big Mike answer it first because I'll let you answer the first one last. What is your biggest concern coming out of spring ball, Big Mike?
Something that you mentioned, probably our depth right now at corner. Trying to see what we're going to do outside of Ty Redmond. Obviously the situation with Chaz Coleman. What are we going to do if he does move on as far as depth at that position? Because that's somebody that I personally was excited about coming over and being on the line. With everything that we lost, and like you was talking about Hobbs being injury prone, it's somebody that we really needed. So I'm a little concerned about that. Our depth on the defensive line. How we address that. Those are probably my two biggest is corner and defensive line.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Chaz Coleman that's going to be a lot of people's concerns. He's your $3.5 million guy that you spent money on this offseason in the transfer portal. He's supposed to replace, Joshua Josephs and Jordan Ross, who went to LSU. He was supposed to be that guy that that body type that fits that Leo position in Jim Knowles' defense. He transferred from Penn State. Now, obviously, the rumors are he's homesick. And he's one of these guys that you got to give him some time to settle in. And then once he takes off big time. So thing is, we ain't got time to wait on him. He is there's a reason why we paid you $3.5 million to come in and make big time plays for us. So we don't have time for him to, take his baby shoes off and go fit, fit the role that we paid you to come in and play for. And another thing, Kayin Lee, is the guy that is said to be taking on the role of the other cornerback spot. He's done some positive things this spring. The talk is that he's done a good job this spring. It's the guys behind them. With last year we had 3-4 top tier guys. We had Jamal McCoy, Colton Hood, Ricky Gibson, and Jalen McMurray. Those were 4 guys that were top tier, prove it guys that, obviously I don't think Colton Hood, but when he got here, he started flashing. And then you added Ty Redmond to that. So you kind of had to make depth with where it was. The thing is, Trey Poteet got some run this year and he looked awful. Obviously he was a freshman and, had to step into big shoes real quick, but so was Ty Redmond. So what the concerns behind that is, say Ty Redmond goes down, say Kayin Lee goes down, you're going to be asking some redshirt freshmen to step up real quick. And that limits what you can do at safety. It limits what you can do at star with Quay Moss and Trey Metcalf, and I know Edris Farouk's had a strong spring, but our secondary has to be better next year. It has to be point blank. So, and I know a lot goes into that with defensive line, rushing, and all that. All 11 guys play hand in hand to make the defense better. But 2024 was a lot simpler when you had Jamal McCoy on one side, Ricky Gibson on one side. Hey, lock those guys down and then let the defensive line eat. That was so much simpler. You don't have them anymore. You don't have the extreme defensive line depth that we had in 2024. How are we going to, which, I mean, I'm not saying we can't, but we didn't last year. And so we don't know what we're going to have going into this year. So talk about all those defensive concerns. What do you got to say about that before you start talking about your concerns, Tom?
Well, if we have so many good linebackers, I would hope that my main concern, that the lack of depth at the defensive line, will somewhat be accounted for in the linebacker position. But I mean, look, the game gets faster every year, it seems. So there's really no, when you said a second ago, let's imagine that a couple of guys in the secondary go down. I don't want to imagine that, man, because we were there last year and we saw the effect it had with a lack of depth on the defensive line, at least an experienced depth. But my main concern is the schedule. The schedule is brutal with the guys that we've got not putting out maybe on somewhat of a scale that's acceptable given their age. You know, context is everything. I think the whole main context of it is we're in year 6. We ought not to be here. Yeah. But we also ought not to be here because of the situation with everything that's going on in collegiate athletics. So that's a twofold we ought not to be here. But within that main context of it's year 6, we ought not to be here. I mean, Georgia Tech's not a pushover. I know they lost a lot of people. So we're looking at a tough out the first 3 weeks of the season. And I mean, a real tough out. You could be looking at some injuries. You never know. You never know. I mean, just like last year, not Jamie McMurray,
Jalen.
Gibson, Ricky Gibson goes out in the first quarter?
First half.
Yeah, first half. And then it comes out that, you know, well, you know what? We've got a couple of decent guys doing some decent work. You know, Ty got picked on a little bit, but he did a great job early in the season, you know. But contextually, you need guys to step up. And it's difficult for me to do these things because I'm in a place of doubt as far as where Josh Heupel is with toughness.
Yeah. No,
literally,
I'm right
literally where it is, where you run out there and you got to have both hands under your balls. They're so big, you know, like you go out and you just cowboy up and you got to beat the guy across from you. And you not only have to beat the guy across from you, you got to make him want to quit. Yeah. And I just don't think a quarterback as a coach at this point, with what he's shown with clock mismanagement and all that kind of stuff. Now, all right, let's take a dive to Positive Town here.
There you go.
Well, let's take a trip down what it would be awesome to see. You know, you absolutely get to see both quarterbacks looking great, which actually, to be honest with you, realistically saying, it has a downside to it, because in the first 3 weeks, you got 2 cupcakes, you got one really decent Power 5 opponent. Or should we say Power 2? They're not even a Power 2, I guess, if you're thinking SEC and Big Ten. But if you see some really good play out of both quarterbacks the first week, right? And, I mean, we're talking really good play, and you're like, man, which one of these guys we start? They're neck and neck. And then you go into –
you got to start phase on.
Yeah. You got to start Faison because, like what you were saying earlier, man, I was right there with you. And I did a lot of thinking about this over the last couple of weeks since our last stream. If they really are neck and neck like that, I don't know who it was. It might have been Eric Kane or somebody said, if they're both neck and neck, you got to do the younger guy.
Brent Hubbs. It's Brent Hubbs.
It was Brent Hubbs. Okay, thank you. Yeah. That's common sense. And I was like, all right, well, let's just go with it. So you're saying, all right, well, Faison's going to start week 2. He's going to start week 2. And by start, we mean unless you have one horrendous series where you either turn the ball over inexcusably or something like that, you're probably going the first few drives at that point, maybe the first quarter. If you get a hot hand, hey, who knows? I mean, when they had Eric Ainge and Brent Schaefer, they gave Brent the first series. I remember being there, and I was more excited. Look, I was more excited about Brent Schaefer going into that season because he was the dual threat than Eric Ainge. But it turned out that after that first few series, Eric had the hot hand too. That was a really – for true freshmen with kind of a bad offensive line that year, a little bit of a mediocre offensive line that year, that's kind of similar, but for the potential that this offensive line's got. And if this offensive line goes balls to the walls, you're looking at 4-0.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Yeah. If this offensive line grows a pair and they grow some, big ones, then you're looking at 4-0. Because Texas, you boss their defense around, and you run the football in Neyland, and you get a defensive stand here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect, ain't going to be perfect, that kind of Heupel stuff, Hey, it might be. And then
I could go ahead and tell you. Hey, Tom, I go ahead and tell you. If they beat Texas at home, and I get it, it's at home, and this is just where I'm coming from. If they are – it's right now, Texas is right here when it comes to like their reputation, and we're down here because it's just ESPN, the sports media puts it out like that.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has also been in playoffs. They've had weeks where they've should be ranked top 10 consecutive weeks. Stark obviously has done a great job. They got Arch Manning coming back, who really came on strong at the end last year. I know they had some transition and movement too, but I just think if we were to beat Texas at home, you're looking at 10-2. I think there's no way, shape, or form if we were to beat Texas at 10, and I think it completely changes the outcome of your season. Now, I'm just being honest. I don't see it happening. I don't think there's any world in which I can expect a true freshman or a redshirt freshman to go beat Texas in your first SEC game. I just don't see that happening. I would love for it to happen, but I'm real. I'm not gonna just throw that out there and think, because I go ahead and tell you, when we do the season predictions, there's no way I'm picking Tennessee to win that game. I hate to, because Tennessee is the real UT, but it is what it is. So
say it one more time for me.
Yeah, Tennessee's the damn real UT. It is what it is. So, but B Mike, kind of building off of what Tom said, when it comes to looking at the schedule, looking at what we know about coming out spring camp, are you concerned about this team? Like, do you think it has a real shot at being better than the 7-5 over or under? Vegas has it at 7.5. So it's either 7-5 or 8-4. Are you concerned with what we've heard coming out of spring camp? Now, obviously, we've heard things about the positives on defense, but I'm generally concerned. It is what it is. From everything I've read about, that was the most boring, uninspiring brand of football Saturday than that, from what I've heard. So, what's your thoughts going into this summer? B Mike.
Man, I just think we need to just figure out who we are, who we're going to be. As far, like offensively, are we going to, be the up tempo. We're going to have a new quarterback this year. I mean, no matter who it is, I mean, it's going to be neither one of them has experience or not much. Or GMAC has, a few passes in a collegiate game, but, him and Faison ain't that far apart on that. Obviously, I think, they're probably going to rely heavy on the running game probably to start off with because, I mean, if our line – like Tom says, comes out there and grows a pair. With Deshaun Bishop and Gordon, I think we should be able to run it down anybody's throat that we want to. Especially Morris. I keep forgetting about DeWanye Morris. But I mean, obviously, I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a realist. I mean, there's always a concern of some fashion. But I mean, like you said, if we slip up and beat a Texas team, I mean, I think we could be a 9-3 or 10-2. But if we lose that game, I think we could, be as bad as 6-6 or 7-5. I mean, I think that game, if we can get through the first three games, the Furman and Georgia Tech and who else is it?
Kennesaw.
Yeah,
Kennesaw. We get through them games, in good shape and come to Texas. I just think that game right there. I mean, I hate to say it this early, but I think that game right there will determine the direction of our season.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. That's kind of what I was leading towards.
Can I piggy on that for a second?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
All right. You know how for a decade plus we played Florida?
Yeah.
The fourth game of the year.
Yep.
I think Big Mike just hit it out of the park on two things. One, the breakdown of, hey, it could do this, it could do that, but the offensive line, if it dominates, we're in lockstep on that one. And then the second thing that he was saying wasn't directly what he was saying, it was how he was saying it. How long, as Tennessee fans, we've been talking about the Florida game, week 4, most of the time, week 4, as, hey, that determines the rest of the season. That was like the last thing that he was just saying. The Texas game has pretty much taken the makeup of the Florida game for us. We're in Neyland. We ought to – I mean, come on, y'all. In year 6 of Josh Heupel, with how many returning offensive linemen we got, with Deshaun Bishop, with Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews and Ethan Davis, like, we ought to be able to win that game. It does determine everything else. And of course, if you crap the bed versus Georgia Tech and you start 1-3 or 2-1, that's a crapshoot for the rest of the year. If we lose to Georgia Tech, I just got to back up 2 weeks from the Texas game. If we lose to Georgia Tech, I meant to say this a minute ago, I think we're looking at like a 4 or 5 win season. That's just me personally. If we can't beat Georgia Tech,
I agree.
Even in a slugfest, even in an overtime win or something at Bobby Dodd, I mean, you're looking at a 4 or 5 win season. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think you lose Georgia Tech, you got Texas, Auburn. I mean, you're still going through an SEC slate. I get it. You don't have Florida or Georgia on the schedule, but down here at the bottom, you got at Texas A&M, home against LSU, and at Vanderbilt, who destroyed you at home last year.
And that's one of the toughest stretches. If anything, that's one of the toughest stretches is the last 4 games. And I did a horrible job of clipping this, by the way, but for everybody watching, the millions of people watching all in the corners of the globe at home, that bottom game is Vanderbilt. It's a black helmet that's got a gold V on it. And V stands for, Venus. Yeah. That's where they're from. Venus. Yeah. So if you can do that extrapolation, you know what I'm talking about. That's how they walk around on campus in Nashville over there. But anyway, that's one of the toughest stretches of the schedule. And that's what scares the hell out of me because we play – look, Kentucky's going to be garbage, but still, it's Tennessee. So, I mean,
They
hey,
got a new coach, so they're going to have some
anything's
momentum. It depends
Yeah.
on how it's going.
yeah. And then you're at Texas A&M. You got LSU, and I hate Lane Kiffin, but God, he's going to probably win in Neyland Stadium. Like the universe is just lined up that way. It's us, man. You know,
Sam
But-
Leavitt's going to deal. It's just
yeah,
it is what
for
it is.
sure. He's gonna sling the hash, but
Yeah.
you've got to have a strong start to the season. And actually, kind of to back up a little bit even further, when you were asking me what concerns me the most, the thing that concerns me the most is that we've got a freshman quarterback, but we have so much talent at all the other positions. It's going to wind up one of two ways. All those talent, there's just talent deep guys at all those positions are going to balance that out. And that's going to make a game manager who has flashes of being a great player in 2 years look pretty daggone good. Or it's going to be, hey, you know what? We had a lot of talent at a lot of positions, but half your talent's kind of young. You had a couple injuries early in the season because you played Georgia Tech and Texas, and you got a couple injuries, and then the season turned out how it turned out. And year 6 is a wash, just like year 5 was a waste, just like year 4 was kind of, you ended on a horrible note. Year 3, you absolutely had no excuse losing a couple of those games. Year 2, you absolutely had no excuse losing to South Carolina. You should have gone to the SEC title game. When does it end?
Yeah.
When do you put your balls in the pocket and say, hey, you know what? Let's hit them in the mouth every daggone game. We go out there and we do it. We go out there and we do it. We're young. We got a bought team. Well, everybody's got a bought team. Half our bought team didn't show up. Well, the other half the team's going to show up. Like, that's just where we are. That's where we are. I hope,
unfortunately.
with this schedule, though, if you do go balls to the wall with that schedule, there's no reason that you shouldn't be if you go 10-2 with that schedule, you're like probably a 3. Even if you don't play in the SEC title game because you got 2 SEC losses, you go 10-2 with that, you're like 3-4. 4 or 5, something like that. You don't want the 5, but you're probably 4, 5.
The sad thing is you give the 2022 team, you give the 2022 team the schedule and they're 11-1 or 12 or 10-2 and blowing out everybody because I mean it's just been proven. But obviously
You'd probably be 6. Actually, excuse me, you'd probably be a 6 seed.
Yeah.
I think
If you go 10-2, you go 10-2 with that schedule, you're probably a 6 seed. You're looking at a home playoff game in the first round.
Yeah.
Which would be epic to have a home playoff game. Look, if we have a home playoff game with that schedule, y'all, I don't care what the tickets cost. All of us, you, me, Mike, Joey, we're all going. And Sam, we got to get Sam to go up there. Like, we're all showing up to a home playoff game. That's going to happen. Even just
Sounds
a tailgate.
good to me.
I don't care.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
What worries you about it, actually? Let me ask you, what worries you about this the most?
I point at this just the young quarterback. You got 3 games where if you win all 3 convincingly, even if we win in a slugfest against Georgia Tech, that's great. We got a big hitter coming into the bullpen here. Let's add him in, but
What's up, fellas?
hey, what's up?
Homie? What's up?
But what I was saying is that you got Texas, you got Auburn, you got all these other games. You have to take it by the throat at the beginning of the year and play like your life depends, like your job depends on it. All these players are paid now. It is what it is. And, I think it's year 6. Me and you have been on the same train, Tom, that there's no excuses. I'm sick of the, he's doing what he needs to do. No,
Mhm.
I'm sick of that. I'm sick of these other websites saying, okay, it's he's done what he needs to. He made it to the playoffs. Well, you got embarrassed. You got boat raced in that playoff. You went down, and it wasn't even close in the next year. You know, and if you don't have things go your way, one of these two quarterbacks don't pan out this year. The defense doesn't make a step. Like it's which I'm not saying it will. I mean, won't. I'm just saying because it very possibly could.
Mhm.
But if that doesn't happen, you're looking at 5-7,
Mhm.
and you're setting Tennessee back years
Mhm.
if you don't fire Josh Heupel and make the right hire. Like it just is what it is. I don't want that to happen. I want Tennessee to go 10-2. I want us to make the SEC championship and make the playoffs. That's what I want to happen. That's what I believe will happen if they beat Texas fourth game of the season. But, you know, Tennessee Vol football puts us through every year what Tennessee Vol football puts us through. So,
You daggone
Joey,
right, man.
Joey, I know at the beginning of the show, unfortunately you weren't here, but we Big Mike and I followed up and agreed with him. And let me say this that put this in asterisk behind it. Joey wants whoever to be the quarterback who puts us in the best shot to win the games. I will go ahead and say that for him because I know he's a Vol fan that wants to see Tennessee Vol to win. But absolutely. Joey is a GMAC guy. And so give us your thoughts on this spring, Big Dog.
I mean, they're kind of keeping it hush-hush, which I respect.
They are.
I don't think we're getting a full glimpse of it. And obviously yesterday they didn't either. Everything I've read said that they didn't really even throw anything down the field too much. I think both quarterbacks struggle with accuracy. Both quarterbacks use their legs pretty well, I read.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it is even, it's even. And I don't care. Whoever wins is whoever wins. It gives us the best chance to win ball games. I'm a Tennessee fan at heart. So that's what I care about the most. But I do like GMAC. I think he's had to go through what a lot of folks hadn't in high school, had 4 different head coaches, 4 different offenses.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he had a tough time and was still a nationally ranked recruit. So Duke can play some ball.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And, you know, I've seen a lot of people, and even the film guy, no knock on him, he was talking about GMAC in high school.
Yeah,
I know
that's awesome.
Yeah, I know that Tom is his favorite cat, but anyway.
Actually, I'm his favorite guy. I got a little under his skin the other day, man. I'll tell you what. I was just digging with that spade, baby. Just digging with that spade.
Absolutely. But he made a comment about GMAC in high school and Faison in high school, talking about the competition and the interceptions that GMAC threw. Well, he needs to look at GMAC's offensive line compared to Faison's offensive line. GMAC was running for his life.
Yeah.
GMAC ran for his life for 3 of those 4 years. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm a GMAC fan. I like his character. I like the kid. He's getting looked down on because he's little, and he's little because he's allergic to a lot of food. So not much he can do about that. But he's trying. They said they want him at 210 to 215 at the beginning of fall camp, and so hopefully he can do that. I don't think Nico was but 215 to start the season last year. So
soaking wet.
I don't think GMAC gets enough credit, and that's just my personal opinion, not factual, just my personal opinion. But I don't care, man. Whoever lines up with those touchdowns, that's all I care about.
Daggone right, man.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah, and I fully believe. I agree with you. I'm right there with you. I think GMAC doesn't get enough credit. Now, obviously, sports media is going to be harsh and critical of. They don't care if you're, the next John Elway, they're still going to be harsh and very critical of you, and make
For
you
sure.
out to be the next Nathan Peterman. But
Right.
it's Tennessee football has a long way to go. We all know that. We know that there's been changes made to the staff. There's been changes made to this roster for the very reason of the way we played last year and coached last year. So, before I give it back to Big Mike, I do, outside of the QB competition, I know I was going to let you lead on with that, Joey, when you came on, but what's your biggest concern about this team?
Outside the QB competition,
Outside the QB comp.
probably offensive line.
Yeah.
Preach it, brother.
Probably offensive line. We were lackluster. That's at best, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. They said that, and I'm hoping it's because he was hurt. They said Wendell Moy was running with the twos yesterday.
Well, all right. So he was running with the twos because he's been out all of spring camp.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, I wanted to make sure on that and clarify that before.
No, he's been running with two. He didn't go full go. He was only about 75%.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people went, and that's fine.
Yeah, no.
That's why I wish they wouldn't hype
just
up
cancel.
spring practice at this point.
Exactly.
It's stupid. But I would say offensive line. I'm kind of excited about our defense, to be honest with you.
I'm right there with you.
They said that they were showing some looks. They were showing some really impressive looks. And the pressure scheme of what I have seen, I was down for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the packages they were putting in there, the looks they were giving.
Yeah.
I was reading another article today that said that Jim Knowles has made our quarterbacks better already. So
that's good.
I like
what
that,
you
bro.
want. Yep.
But yeah, anyway, my answer is offensive line for sure.
I agree, and I can see that being very much the case. We know what we got in David Sanders because I think he's just going to be all world next year at left tackle. I have zero concerns. I mean, that dude, you put the guy on the roster, you give him a shot. That's the exact guy that any college football program would want. He's hardworking. He's smart as a whip. He is responsible. He's got good character behind him. He's got good, a good history behind him where, no trouble. And, just the way he speaks, you can sense the type of player he is. And so left guard, not worried. Wendell Moy, left guard, not worried. Wendell Moy is going to be great. He was great all this year. Center and right guard, right tackle. Jesse Perry is going to be one of those spots. You can pretty much hammer that. The other two positions, you got Donovan Haslam, you got Warren Williams, you got Sam Pendleton, and Sham Umaroff. You got four guys for three positions or two positions.
Sham's not in there if you ask me.
No, I think there's, like I said, four guys for two positions. The most consistent one, that adds to those other three guys and makes the unit better. We have to figure that out. Whether that means a new center, whether it means a new right guard, moving Perry over to guard, moving Perry to tackle. I don't know what that means, but we got to figure it out for our freshman quarterbacks.
Well, I think
that's the biggest key.
Let me ask you this then. I've read a lot of hype on Osenda.
Yeah.
Gabriel, yeah.
That's going to be tough. I mean, I agree. I mean, he was one of the guys that –
dude, he's strong, bro.
Big Mike talked about earlier, one of the
strong,
three freshmen. Man. I mean, his nickname's Big Squish for a reason. I mean,
dude, he's a big dude.
He is all of 6'8", 320. Like, I mean,
every bit of it. Yeah.
He's massive. So I think, you could throw him into the mix. I mean, I heard good things about Ori Williams at right tackle in camp, but you got to put the best five together, the best cohesive unit. So I mean, if Gabriel Osenda, is one of those guys, do it. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, he was a 5-star on 247 for a reason, and they're number 2 ranked offensive tackle. They're
true, and it also matters how you use them too. I mean, you got guys that are big. I was just looking at our offensive line height and weight stats earlier. They're all big.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's great. Defensive line need a little more size too. But with that offensive line, with the scheme and how you use them and how a tailback hits the hole within the scheme, that like Dylan Sampson, I know we all are going to talk about Dylan Sampson for years because he was just that guy.
Perfect.
He was he was absolutely that guy that could wait and see the hole develop. But it was also because, hey, offensive line wise, even with the hamperage, even with the dead weight that was Lance Hurd 2 years ago, we were still running the ball for 5 yards a carry.
Led the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, 5.2 yards, something like that a carry. I mean, it was wild. Yeah. Now, with this offensive line, with Deshaun Bishop being able to do – he showed flashes of the same kind of Dylan Sampson-esque, like, I'm going to get away from these guys. And he has the speed too. Like, it's great. It's a great spot to be in if they show up. But if they show up, that's half of it. If they're used correctly, that's not just half of it. That's the whole ball game after that point. You show up, well, if you're used correctly with the tailbacks, the way that they've got their skill, hell yeah. I mean, there's nobody that can stop you if you got an offensive line that can open up a hole and your offensive coordinator and O-line coach know what they're capable of and how to use them. If we can get back to pulling 2 guys on a counter gap, or if we can get back to pulling 2 guys on an outside buck sweep or a zone outside. Well, actually, I misspoke. We probably had no reason running outside zone last year, but you can the possibilities are endless at that point if you know how to use them, because hey, we've tallied these guys down to their shoelaces and we know what they can do. Then hey, quarterback becomes you've got Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, Ethan Davis,
Deshaun Brame. You got so many guys.
Like all those weapons. Like, look, develop the super simple offensive line scheme. And if it's successful, then just start building off of that, little chunks at a time. Hey, guess what? We're going to throw something short real quick because we know we've got receivers that can get to the ball and they can get to the open zone real quick. Okay, well, what do you do off of that? You might – look, we don't even run RPOs, but we could run like a little RPO off of that. We could run anything off that. You use your offensive line correctly. That's – the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
And I agree with you. I think you have those skill guys. You got Rand Jackson, you got Travis Smith, you got obviously Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley. You got Ethan Davis, you got Deshaun Brame. There's word that Cole Harrison and Trey not Trey, the Thomas guy from that came over from South Alabama, the other tight end, the bigger tight end, all doing good things. And obviously you got to, you've seen this before in college football where you have young quarterbacks that are asked to do as much as possible, but lean on your strengths.
Yeah.
And whether that's mean going back to letting your defense eat and the run game eat, and then ask the quarterback to make a play every once in a while, have your wide receivers, get the ball to them quick, then go make the play. Mm-hmm. It's those little things that you can do given the young talent that we have at quarterback. Big Mike, what do you think is the step that we got to take this fall to, get past this, where we're at right now, whether it's an 8-4, 8-5 team, what do you think this team has to do to get to, a real legitimate playoff contender?
I think it's going to have a lot to do with this will be an answer Tom will like how Josh Heupel manages the game.
Yes, sir. I knew you were going to be my boy, Mig Mike. I knew you were going to be my boy.
I think it's going to be how he manages certain situations in the game.
Yeah.
Even coming down to clock management, what kind of plays are called in certain situations. We have the talent. I mean, I would put our wide receiver room up against any team in the country.
Yeah.
Like if wide receivers, tight ends,
hell yeah,
running backs. Like then we talk about the offensive line. If our offensive line can open up holes, I mean you got Bishop. I don't see how you're going to keep Javen Gordon off the field. Like if our line is opening up holes and just. Like I said, wide receiver room talent is just stupid this year. And if we've seen teams win national championships with game managers. We went to the playoff with a game manager. I'm talking about Nico. We had a good defense. We were able to run the ball, and he made a play or two every once in a while. The way it ended left a bad taste in all of our mouths. But I think that could be. I don't know how to put it. I think that could be what kind of team we're looking at.
Yeah,
good defense, a great running game, and somebody that can make a play, whether it's GMAC or Brandon. Downfield because our talent is crazy at wide receiver. But going back to my answer. I think it's going to come down to how Heupel manages certain game situations.
I can agree with you. I mean, I really feel like that can be a big reason why our record is the outcome it is. Whether it means 9-3, 10-2, or 5-7, or 6-6. So, what would you add on to that, Joey? I know you got. You're a little more optimistic than me and Tom are. You seem to, I guess, cope with the negatives that we have a little better and understand and not freak out about certain things. But what do you think going into this summer, obviously going into this fall, are some of the things that this team has to get better at or show improvements at from last year to what we know went on this spring to get where us as Tennessee fans can put forth? Because I think for Josh Heupel to be respected, and which I think he's respected, but to put forth the season that Tennessee fans wants to see, I think 9-3 is as minimum as that could go. What do you think this team has to do to get to 9-3 next year?
Well, I think it starts with not paying people who don't want to be at Tennessee.
Dang right. There's another Tom. Woo!
I mean,
I'm firing on all cylinders, baby.
I'm not gonna say that I don't freak out and I'm not a negative. Every once in a while, I've been ready to fire Josh Elander until this weekend. By the way, go Vols! Baseball.
You're dang right.
Swept the number 9 team in the nation. Let's go.
Hell yes.
But I mean, and the Chaz guy may be great, but how you give somebody $3.5 million and they don't know if they want to be here because they're homesick?
That's insane to me.
Can you
same thing with Nico? Like how are you giving somebody that much money for them to have questions about whether they like? Come on, man. There's people that would come here for less money that are loyal to that would be. I mean, the Power T. We all say it means something to people, and so it's our job I say our, I'm talking when I say
Yeah,
our, I'm talking
what you
about the
mean.
coaching
Yeah.
staff and the university. It's their job to vet that,
Yeah, evaluate. Yeah,
evaluate that crap. And if you don't, you know what you're gonna wind up like? You're gonna wind up like the women's college basketball team by just playing people that are decent enough at being athletic and can make plays, and then all of a sudden we don't have anybody on the team anymore. But anyway,
no chemistry, no culture. Yep.
no, nothing. And so that's, to me, you if we're going to use the portal, which it looks like that's what's going to be sports from here on out. If you're going to use the portal, then
Sorry, Tom.
gotta you got to use it wisely, and that starts with Danny White on down. D White is on a thin line, I might add.
That's a whole nother story. Which
it is. We'll do
20 minutes.
We'll
we may
hit that
not
some
get
other
to you,
time.
Tom. Sorry, buddy.
But
I got
but-
45 minutes.
Hold on,
worth
Tom.
of-
Hold on, Tom.
Yeah,
let Joey
yeah.
finish. Yeah.
I think my what I think is going to make us successful this year. I don't know. I got a weird feeling about the defense. Everybody says it's going to take 2 or 3 years, but I just got a weird feeling about it. I do, and that's a good thing. Like a good weird feeling.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
Jim Knowles brought some people in that understands his system, and it's not going to have to wait that long to teach it because people already know it. But I think what's going to set us apart and help us make the plays we need to make is going to be our tight end room.
Yeah.
I think our tight ends are going to be crucial. Not just blocking, but I think they're going to catch some passes. Ethan Davis is about to have an incredible year. Wouldn't be surprised if Ethan Davis starts getting looks at a Heisman candidate just because of what he's going to do. Dark horse. But no, I think he's that good, man. He is. He's 100% that good. He could be your next guy in the NFL that everybody wants to throw to.
Yeah.
But I think our tight end room, if we can run the ball enough to hit that over the middle or throw them a corner to the end zone or something like that. And I think we got 2 guys. I think either Nico or I think either G-Mac or Brandon will be able to throw that ball. I don't think that's it. I think in the quarterback competition now, I think it's a lack of talent. I think it's knowing the game.
Yes. Knowing the game.
Managing it, how
knowing the system
to manage it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talent's not the question, in my opinion. I think both of them
neither one of them.
plenty of talent to do what they need to do. And I think I'll throw this out there. I think if we go 5-7, we're looking for a new head coach next year.
Yeah. I think 6-6.
Yeah, 6.
I even think 7-5. I just think after what's transpired this year, which like you said, Joey, Josh Englander kind of saved his tail this weekend. You know, obviously, I think he would get more than 1 year.
I throw that out there, but in all reality, in our last 12, and let me say it again, our last 12 SEC games, we had the lead in the 7th inning. I'll just throw that out there.
No, that's facts. That is facts.
That's not him. Some of it is him, but not all of it's him. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Although he did have one game last weekend that was completely on him, but
he just don't pull people anyway.
Yeah, but the basketball, some of the things that's transpired with basketball, especially women's basketball, you know, what transpired this year with the football team, I think, you know, you're going to have some people hard on Danny White, and then they're like, you better make a move or you're done. And then the same thing for Josh Heupel. So I think you have to go 8-4 or better for Josh Heupel to buy another year. Now, what's that 8-4 look like? Is it a freshman quarterback, no matter whichever one, you know, showing signs of greatness and just, you know, making a couple of freshman mistakes that may have cost you a game? Defense takes that big step where you're, you know, maybe not a top 15 defense, but you get back up to a top 25 defense, and you got a lot coming back next year. Maybe that's something that the people can buy into, you know, or, you know, where you're in games with the top dogs, with Texas, with Alabama, where you only lose by 1 possession. You know,
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, there ain't no time to, like, we're in it from the get go. That Georgia Tech game, that ain't nothing to play about. Like we're
Hell
gonna
yeah.
spin it from the get go, bro.
At Georgia
Like,
Tech, yeah.
At Georgia Tech, yeah. Like to me, here's what people need to understand. I can't stand listening to stupid people talk about stuff they don't have a clue what they're talking about. And I'm not saying I'm a genius, but some of these people are just ignorant to the fact of what football is and sports. But
exactly.
Here's the deal: that you need to realize that Heupel is not. It's not going to be the same offense we ran last year.
No, it's not.
Joey Aguilar had free reign to throw the ball 75 yards every time he dropped back. We're not doing that this year.
Nope.
That's not in there. He is not going to let a redshirt freshman or a true freshman have that on them because they're not going to make the right reads every time. Aguilar had 17 years in college to figure out, what he was
almost
doing.
Had 18.
Almost had 18. We were a judge away. No, but literally, we just need to understand that we're fixing to run the Nico. We're fixing to run that same type of conservative, slower, run first, run heavy, which I'm fine with.
Trust
give
the
me
defense.
Jamal. Give me Jamal can haul Lewis, and let's run somebody. Give me Travis touchdown Henry, and let's run somebody over and score some points in that manner. I'm okay winning games 21-14. If we win, who cares?
Yeah, it's a W. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I know all three of us. I know B Mike. I go ahead and tell you, B Mike's all about some ground and pound and trusting the defense. I know Rocky Top Tom's the same way. Now, I do love some explosive plays.
Absolutely.
That's just me being an offensive guy. But hey, if it means we're 10-1 going to the last game of the season, get ready, have the chance to be SEC championship bound because you trust that defense. You got freshman QBs, whoever wins the job, making some plays sporadically, and then trusting that run game, and you showing progress throughout the year to get better. That's a football, like that's a success way to win football games. You see it every year. I mean, it happens. So B Mike. Let me and I'm going to let all four of us kind of, round the show out and come to the final bits of the show. But, without the quarterback competition, because we know that's going to go to probably to the end of the Furman game. I mean, to me, that's just when I think you'll get the final decision. The Coach Heupel may come out and say, hey, this is who's going to be the game one starter, but I think both of them will play Furman game. That's in my truly honest opinion, that's what I think is going to shake out. But to round out the show, what do you think is the one thing that Tennessee has to do this season to not have a repeat of last season? Now, I know the easy thing is going to be defense has to improve, but coming out of spring camp, what's the one thing each of us can choose that we have to do to not have a repeat of 2025?
You better not take mine, Mike.
Tom, you go first. Tom,
no.
You just go first.
Let me
because Mike and I are so similar, man. The way we think is so similar. Now, I was just thinking, don't take mine.
Go
ahead.
Big Mike wants to think on it for a second. Go ahead, Tom.
Go. One of y'all go ahead. Let me think on it for a second.
They got to grow them. They got to grow them and show them, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to grow them and show them. That's the one thing. That's the one thing. Josh Heupel's got to manage the game better, and this is all under that subcategory. This is
okay. So he's branching out.
Yeah. This is all under that. Yeah, you do. You gotta look. You don't throw a play action out route to your tight end on 4th and inches at the goal line at Alabama.
Freshman.
You don't do that, and you don't throw it to Jack Van
Oklahoma.
Dorsler. Yeah. You don't throw it to Jack Van Dorsler. Look, I know it was perfect. The throw. I know that one was perfect. And I know it hit him in the face mask. And if he'd been a little older and a little more experienced, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of hearing about it and watching it as a Tennessee fan. That I don't even have to cut my veins open on Saturdays to have the orange blood just flowing everywhere, man. Like, I'm tired of it happening every Saturday where you know that famous clip now, the infamous, oh,
Yeah.
like that's what Joey Halsey looked like when they threw that play at Alabama. You don't do that. You grow a pair, and because you've gone for it on fourth down twice on that same drive already and gotten it,
About
and
running
you
the
took
ball.
5 minutes. Yep. You took 5 minutes to get to the goal line. In our offense, they took 5 minutes to get to the goal line, went for it on twice on fourth down and got it twice. One time on 4th and 2, and they ran it, and they got 2 yards. That's what I'm talking about. You balls to the wall and man up, and you do that. That is that kind of stuff. You don't say when you've got 2 timeouts and Georgia's got none, and you're at our own, or you're going into the 30. I think they're at the 30, maybe the 32. You don't call a pass play. You don't jump off sides. That's the kind of stuff that comes from the top down. Top down economics balls. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You got to have it trickle down. Reaganomics in football, baby. That's what I'm talking about. You got to have the balls trickle down. That's the one.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, well, I mean, it's what you got to do. I mean, there's obviously several things that Tennessee has to get better at, but we know that was one of the weak points in Tennessee football last year. We know that was. There were several games that came down to the end, the Georgia game being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if we make the kick, we win. But there was time management and coaching management of how he ended the game with the play calls and how he ended the game. If he would have kept being aggressive like he was to get down to the 40 and just kept being aggressive to get down to the 15, that kick's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about Mr. 5-year-old kicker trying to kick a game-winning 41-yarder. I mean, it shouldn't have ever been to that point. So obviously, that's a big thing. I mean, I agree with you, Tom. That's a broad spectrum, but that all goes under the coaching umbrella. You know, all of us coaches. I try to improve my coaching every day. It's something, learning something new every day, whether it be strategy, whether it be management, whether it be, just how I talk to the players, whether it's discipline or you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Heupel needs to continue evolving. Now, do I think he's boneheaded enough to not evolve? No. Obviously, he evolved enough to make the offense what it was last year, where we're number one in the SEC in passing, and change some things up schematically to be a top tier offense. Now, but it's the little things. It's like you said, Tom. You have to improve those things for us to make that next step. And I really wished he would went out and hired a guy to kind of help with those type of things. And, he may just off to the side, put somebody on, but it's just not Coach Heupel. I think he has a lot of pride in himself and how he coaches. But so got times. B Mike, you ready, or you want me to let Joey go next? Joey, you ready?
I'm
always ready.
All right, Joey, go ahead, brother. Give me your one thing that Tennessee has to do better from 2025 to 2026.
I'm gonna say, because we're gonna be a defense heavy team this year. We're gonna have to be a defense heavy team, in my opinion. We're gonna have to tackle. Yeah. Have to make tackles. If we were to go, I know it seems silly. Well, you got to tackle. Yeah, we didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had time to go back and watch every one of our games and count how many missed tackles we had, and how many of those led to scores or should have ended drives or could have changed the. Just silly stuff. Silly. We got to tackle. I mean, whatever it takes. And then, I'm bragging on Jim Knowles' defense, but at the same time, I watch homeboy from Tulane run our guy over and then nobody tackle him. But anyway, so there's that.
But hey, his speed though is a game changer. He is really, really fast. I mean, he's like DeWanye Morris, but I agree with you. He did run through a tackle, and that's frustrating. I didn't see who he ran through, but
it didn't really show his number.
but it was that's tough because I mean we know as a defense that's what killed us last year. Now, obviously, you have several defensive guys that aren't playing, and from what
100%.
I heard, that was late in the scrimmage yesterday or
Yeah,
Saturday,
it was.
so
It was.
it may have been on some threes. So, but with that being said, I agree with you. Totally agree with you. I think tackling with a capital T matches the Tennessee T.
Yeah.
It's got to be that important. I mean, you cannot be as soft as we were tackling wise and angle. Man, we failed geometry last year. How bad our angles were at tackling the offense.
Not only
it was
not
awful.
Not only that, we were dropping our head.
Yeah. The
Idris
vision in our
Farouk. Idris Farouk was the world's worst at that. Great player,
Yeah.
but if he was going to make
Aggressive.
a play,
Yeah.
if he was going to make a play, he couldn't see it happening because his head was straight down. Anyway,
which there is positive though in this spring. He did make 2 interceptions because evidently he had his head up because he'd be around the ball. He'd be around the ball.
He's there.
Hey, hit that
He's
wood.
there
Hit
for
that
sure.
wood, brother.
Yeah.
He said
yeah.
apparently he's got his head up. Hell yeah. We lost the state damn championship because our guard had his head down.
That's what it's the difference. It's the difference. So, all right, Big Mike, give me your one reason, and I'll close this out.
Man, I think it's defensively related. I just think in situations where we can get off the field, I think that's what we have to do. Like a 3rd and longs, like we gave up a lot of 3rd and 15s or 3rd and 20s or last year in critical situations. I think we have to figure that out. Just do whatever we have to do to get off the field. Whether it's the call on defense, not committing stupid penalties to make it go to a first down. I mean, there was a lot of those situations last year where we could have got off the field and it could have determined the outcome of a football game. Is us getting off the field in situations like that in 3rd and longs or even on 4th downs. Had some 4th downs that we give up. I think that's going to be key this year, being able to get off the field in those situations better than we did last year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, I need to remove this. I don't know why I still got that up. But, getting off the field on defense, we've brought in this new defensive staff. We brought in Jim Knowles, a defense coordinator. We brought in Poindexter as our assistant defensive coordinator, as well as safeties and secondary, main secondary guy. Brought in Derek Jones, cornerback coach from Virginia Tech. Brought in Andrew Jackson, not the president, but the outside linebackers coach from Penn State to come in with Jim Knowles to help, transition that defense a little better. We kept Rodney Gardner, kept William Inge, brought in several analysts from that defensive staff to, save Josh Heupel's butt, really. I mean, this is a last hurrah. If this don't work, it's going to be the end of a era of Coach Heupel. I just really feel like, this year defensively, if you go 8-4 and the defense shows great improvement, it buys Josh Heupel another year because, he made the move he had to make, in which we all tip a cap to. He got rid of Tim Banks, which I think the only reason why we were so good in 2024 because we were just that damn talented. I think defensive line-wise across the board, we were just that good. We had depth. Now you actually have a guy that's been there, done that, won a national championship via the defense. Now, the old saying goes, it takes him 1 year. Well, that's not an excuse anymore when you brought in a whole coaching staff that's been with you and transfers that's played in your system, especially middle linebacker. And you have one at each level. Now, obviously, we hope Chaz Coleman gets his butt in gear and gets going, and that changes the game for us on the defensive line. My one thing is just play cleaner, more efficient Tennessee brand of football. I want to see Tennessee football. I don't want to see that crap we had last year. That wasn't Tennessee football, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Coach Heupel mentioned it. couple years on in his press conference. Great defensive football is the standard at Tennessee. You have Eric Berry's, Reggie White's, Kevin Simons, Kevin Burnett's, Gerard Mayo's, Derek Barnett's, Henderson, John Henderson, so many more. You just so many more guys that you can just list out there that Tennessee was known for years as a defensive headhunting, tackle first. You're not getting through Eric Berry football team. And so I want to get back to that. Yes, I want to explosive plays on offense. I think Josh Heupel can do it. That's one thing I'm not worried about Heupel offensively. I think he's going to put together a scheme and a plan to get those two freshmen in spots to succeed. We got to do the right things and play simple, fundamental brand of Tennessee football that we know that could be successful and go win big games and big moments, and don't shoot ourselves in the foot when those spots come. We can't have, like Tom said, those spots where time management is an issue. We can't have bad coaching calls or coaching situations when the time comes at the end of a game. We got to be great in those moments. You do those little things right and be great in those moments. At the end of the day, we're going to be successful. And instead of going 6-6, we'll be 9-3 or 10-2. And if you go 9-3 or 10-2, I think all four of us this next year with two freshmen as the options at quarterback, all four of us will be running around screaming Rocky Top at the end of the season. So, with that being said, yeah, exactly. I mean, dang loud. So it's the growth. It's each week. Hey, Tom. Hey, you know it. Me and you've been there. We've been with it. Big Mike. I mean, I hear you on Friday nights getting loud. I know you do it on Saturdays too. And then Joey, I've known you forever, brother. So I know me and you used to talk on Friday nights before football games. What's going to happen tomorrow? Is either that or the Cardinals winning their playoff game, or the Tennessee going to whoop BTA tomorrow? So
Speaking of, hey, real quick, you remember that time the coaches were trying to get us kicked off the sideline?
Oh yeah. Me and Joey almost got in trouble. Yeah, they tried to kick us off the sideline because
that's so funny.
Yeah, that was
we called them out.
Yeah,
I will admit that sometimes my temper on Saturday is a lot worse than it is on Friday nights.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that is true. That is true.
Any of y'all ever been kicked out of Neyland Stadium?
No, I almost did. I threw a golf ball once at Lane Kiffin, but
oh, that was you. No, my buddy and I almost got thrown out, man. We were drunk in ornery one time. Yeah, that was.
My brother almost got in a fight with an old man in the against BYU.
Oh man,
I've been there.
Speaking of my brother, he said catching easy passes. That's a victory. Yeah. You're dang right. We better catch these passes.
Is he even a Tennessee fan anymore?
Yeah, Joseph is. Joseph's always
not
basketball fan.
Just not basketball.
Joey. Let's not get Joseph on here talking Tennessee basketball.
But you just posted "Don't suck" in the chat. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Now Joseph will come on here and condemn every Tennessee basketball player ever, besides Dalton Connect. He loves some Dalton Connect, but outside of Dalton Connect, he can't stand Tennessee basketball. So, yeah,
I think your brother,
just the mention of Zakai Ziegler gets my brother pissed off. So, let's end with that. We chasing rabbits now. So, hey, y'all, great show tonight. I know we didn't have tons of the chat, but hey, that's what happens at spring football. I can't wait till September because come fall, it's just a whole day. It's a spiritual awakening as far as Tennessee sports goes. Now that's a whole different spiritual awakening. That's just Tennessee Orange. Yeah, exactly. So, y'all, great show. Go ahead. Hey, go ahead, B Mike.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I do look forward to all of us getting to a game together and possibly doing a live
Heck
from
yeah.
Neyland Stadium, like
Dude, that's the
talking
plan.
about the game.
Damn
I
right.
look
That's the
forward to
plan.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Sam's down too. Sam wants to come too. So he's been messaging me. So
100%.
we will
Yeah, I'm gonna
most
put my
definitely-
arm. I'm gonna put my arm right around Big Mac when G Mac throws, or Big Mike when G Mac
There you go.
throws for 600 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
There you go.
God.
Hey, he said it, not me. Hey,
Oh.
with that being said, y'all have a blessed
right
night.
here.
And, hey, y'all can't get this anywhere else, man. Y'all, I
No,
don't
for
care
sure.
what other channel, you can't get this type of goofiness and just back
Hey,
and forth.
Tennessee, give us 3.5 million. I promise we won't get
Yeah,
homesick.
Yeah,
Exactly. So, hey, y'all have a great night. I appreciate all of it. I know Joseph, my family, and a couple others came on. My kids early in the show from school. I appreciate them coming on, support me. Y'all, they hammer me all the time. They're like, Coach, when you going live? When can I come on and embarrass you? So, but that's a whole different thing. Appreciate everybody that watches on the rewatch on the live stream. I do want to say, y'all come on, go follow us on Rocky Top Sports Talk on Twitter. Go follow us on Facebook and give us a thumbs up on here. Give us a subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Come on now. We try to be live and be fun and just speak real Tennessee fan football. That's all we are. We're four loving Tennessee football fans. So y'all have a blessed night, and then as always, go Big Orange.
Go
Go
Vols.
Vols.
I've been up and I've been down and I done seen it all. Was in the gym working my shot, now they pass me the ball. They never answer when I call, now I'm the one they call. I done been up and I've been down and I done seen it all. Crazy when you really gotta get it out the mud.